How would you describe your family household as a kid, though? Like, is it traditional Jewish household?
Um, my mother wasn't religious until my grandmother died in '86. So my mother was not religious. And so she used to go to like Studio 54, and my mother would let us play in the projects really late, where my father wouldn't have because they were divorced. Excuse me. So,
Do you
like, if it
spend
was,
most of your time with your mom?
well, yeah, we wouldn't leave our mom. My father would say, "Yo, why you want to live in the projects with these animals?" So my father would say, because my father was a foreigner who came here and started working at Knickerbocker, and he was already a killer from the IDF. So he would deal with a lot of racism of people talking to him like he's a foreigner. And so my father wasn't having it. So my father would be like, "What the fuck you want to live in the projects with, these animals?" And we would be like, we're with our mother. We're never leaving our mother. Plus, I liked living with different kinds of people. And I liked being in school with different cultures. I actually appreciated that as a young kid. I had black friends, Spanish friends, and I just thought it was cool. I liked that I didn't want to be around old Jewish kids. You know
So
what I'm
you're the
saying? That was
furthest
never
thing
something
from
I liked.
racist at a young age, even though your father didn't like black people.
Yeah, my father didn't like anyone who disrespected him. So he
Got
dealt
you.
with a lot of. My father was the manager of the warehouse of VIM in Knickerbocker and Bushwick, like back then when I was a little fucking child. So if you know that area, you're dealing with kids that boost, they come into the stores, they try to rob shit. You know what I'm saying? And the clothing business is very Israeli. Like a lot of the clothing companies, VIM was owned by an Israeli, I think. So all those companies in the hood were stores owned by Israelis. So my father said that a lot of them would call him like talk to him like he's an Arab, like the way the Arabs used to get super disrespected, like Habibi, and just treated like total no respect. Then it wasn't like now with this pro-Palestine bullshit. Back then, there was no. This is before 9/11. Like there was no respect for Arabs in New York City. Like that was considered the lowest. So blacks would talk down to you, like on some like fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the hood, if you're from that area, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you from the hood? Do you know that kind of? This is the way it was. Anybody who's from Brooklyn, you know what I mean, and knows that time frame, very disrespectful. The kids, would go around and boost and steal shit, and listen, it is what it is. But my father would be cool with blacks or Puerto Ricans if they worked at the stores and they were cool. You know what I mean? But he didn't tolerate that shit from anybody who was being disrespectful. But me as just a little kid, I was cool with whoever was cool. And when you're a little kid, some of my first friends were black kids. Before they turned into thugs and got older and started selling crack, they were young little kids. You have to understand, children are very innocent before parents in the world teaches them how to be racist. Children
Facts.
start out being friends with whoever. You understand? If you're 5 years old, you don't know racism yet until it's taught. A lot of my friends were Russian kids, and they could even be Russian Jews. But if you were an American in the 80s, the Russians did not like you. Remember the Cold War and all that shit that went on? So if you were not a Russian that spoke Russian, get that American the fuck out of my house, or we don't let Americans come in the house. So I could never go over my Russian friends' houses. Their parents would not have it. Even if they were Jews, they didn't give a fuck.
Do you feel like your innocence was stolen really young?
Innocent? I mean, I never got, anybody did anything harm to me as far as that goes. So that didn't happen. Like nothing like what happened to Hassan Campbell ever happened to me. So, I
Right, but
dealt with a,
experiencing racism at that young of an age and everything, and seeing what you saw around you,
it
that
definitely fucked my head up. I mean, being called cracker, and shit like that, it fucks your head up. I mean, anybody who deals with racism can relate to that on any color. You know what I mean? It's listen, it's whack. It was never dope.
right.
And but yeah, it definitely gave a chip on my shoulder where I wasn't gonna kiss anybody's ass when I got into hip hop. I just wasn't gonna. I felt like, no, you respect me or fuck you.